what does Police Complaint Commissioner do actually? Our listeners would like to know.
We are a civilian body. I am the Police Complaint Commissioner. I'm an independent officer of the legislature. And I would say that police, for the most part, do their jobs appropriately and professionally. But where they don't, that's where my office comes into play.
Even if somebody doesn't complain to you, and you're reading in the newspapers, and you're finding out on social media, you know that this is happening, can you go ahead yourself and kind of call them and start investigating?
Well, we've concluded many investigations where the result of it is where somebody has been dismissed.
If police officer is being investigated by another fellow police officer, even if from a different police department, that's not fair. It still practices.
What I would say is that our process is actually better than many other systems across the country. And I have the ability where I think that there is, maybe I'm not happy with a decision being made, I can appoint a retired judge, for example, to review the case.
One of the counselors, Linda Annis, she has sent a text message to the police chief, Norman Lipinski. He reacted to it and used word elevated also. I'm sure you are fully aware of it. In this case, can you directly go and start investigating the police chief on this? British Columbia ਦੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ, ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਰਾਜਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਇੱਕ ਭਾਰਤੀ ਮੂਲ ਦੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦਾ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ 'ਤੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਲਈ, ਔਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਾਬਲੀਅਤ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹ ਨਿਯੁਕਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੋਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਕੀਲ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਸੀਜ਼ਨਡ ਲਾਇਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, 25 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਹੈ। ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਮਦਈ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਚੀਫ ਕੋਰਨਰ ਦੇ ਕੌਂਸਲ ਅਤੇ ਚੀਫ ਫੋਰੈਂਸਿਕ ਪੈਥੋਲੋਜਿਸਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਡੋਮੈਸਟਿਕ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਡੈਥ ਰਿਵਿਊ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਸਰਵ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਆਫ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਆਫ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ, ਕਾਲਜਿਸ, ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਗੱਲ ਕੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਫੀਲਡਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ, ਪਰ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਗਲ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਰ ਐਟ ਦੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਆਫ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ, ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਸਲਾਹ ਦੇਣੀ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਟਜੀ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਣਾ, ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਮੈਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਸ਼ਵਰਾ ਦੇਣਾ। ਅੰਟੈਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਆਫਿਸਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਸੁਪਰੀਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਤ ਉਸ ਲੈਵਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨੋਲੋਜਿਸਟ ਹਨ, ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਮੈਨੀਟੋਬਾ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਅ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ। ਔਸਗੁਡ ਹਾਲ ਲਾਅ ਸਕੂਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਯਾਰਕ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਦਾ, ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰੈਸਟੀਜੀਅਸ ਲਾਅ ਸਕੂਲ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ। ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਰਾਜਨ, thank you very much for coming in our studio. Good morning.
Sat Sri Akal, Harjinder. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Can you share a bit about your background? I might have missed something. Why you have taken this position?
Well, I would like to start maybe a little bit earlier. My parents are from small villages in India, in the south of India, and came to North America in the 60s, and I was born in Winnipeg, Canada, and moved to Toronto. And I think, as you described, I had a career in the Ontario government for a number of years, largely in human rights and in having responsibility with the inquest system in Ontario. And the inquests, if your listeners are unaware, they're legal proceedings into deaths in your community, and one hopes to gain understanding of why that death occurred and hopefully come up with recommendations for change so those deaths don't happen again. So I did that for a number of years, and then I was fortunate enough to get this role as BC's Police Complaint Commissioner. And while I had to move across the country, it was a role that I couldn't say no to. It is an opportunity to serve British Columbians, an opportunity to hopefully affect positive change in policing and in the police oversight system. And of course, moving to this beautiful province. That's been just wonderful because there's no place like British Columbia. Mm-hmm.
So this is a big position, like police complaint commissioner. So what does police complaint commissioner do actually? Our listeners would like to know.
Of course, first let me just start off by saying that policing is extremely difficult. It's police are put in very dynamic, often dangerous situations, and there are countless police interactions in Surrey, in the province, and in Canada that are overwhelmingly positive. But and I would say that police, for the most part, do their jobs appropriately and professionally. But where they don't, that's where my office comes into play. And even though we demand much of our police, but there are times when police, may need improvement in terms of how they operate. And we are a civilian body. I am the police complaint commissioner. I'm an independent officer of the legislature, and I do not work within government. So I provide, and my office provides, civilian oversight over police conduct. And this is only municipal police conduct, so not the RCMP. And so if somebody is concerned with police conduct, their interaction with the police, they can come to my office to raise these concerns. The easiest way is if you go to our website, www.opcc.bc.ca, and they can raise concerns. They can file a complaint. And maybe it's easier if I explain it through an example, so you can understand how my office operates. We had a complaint recently involving an interaction between an individual and 3 police officers here in Surrey, involving the Surrey Police Service. And they were all spoke Punjabi, and they interacted in Punjabi. And as I understand it, the allegation is that a number of these police officers swore at the individual in Punjabi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person had concerns, and they contacted our office and filed a complaint saying, well, that was simply inappropriate for them to speak to me that way. And so we received the complaint. We felt it was admissible and appropriate for our office, and it could have gone through a full investigation, but instead what the parties did is that they resolved the case. They expressed, the complainant was able to express to the 3 officers how that interaction made them feel, how they felt it was inappropriate. And ultimately, the police officers were able to reflect on that experience, reflect on their conduct, and in fact, at the end of the day, they apologized. And that's all that the complainant wanted. No punishment, because in this case, the complainant only wanted an apology. And what I would say to you is yes, an apology is a form of accountability. So our process is there to ensure that police are accountable for inappropriate conduct, but it's also about restoring public confidence in policing. So I would think after this interaction and this apology process, the complainant now feels more confident about their policing, that a police officer can take responsibility for poor conduct. Because in almost every case, of misconduct, the police officer will return to the street. They will continue to police your community. So how can they improve? How can they reflect on certain conduct and improve how they behave?
But we used to have a practice, still have the practice, I think. If there is a complaint against the police officer, you make a complaint in the same police department, in the same municipal police department, then police is investigating police. We have seen those police. They're brethren. I mean, some people feel this is not fair. If police officer is being investigated by another fellow police officer, even if from a different police department, that's not fair. It still practices?
It's a fair comment, Harjinder. I can't dispute that. Now, the way our process works is, yes, in fact, it is the actual. There are police officers.
Do you appoint another police officer?
What I can do. So let's take, for example, this case I spoke. Let me take another case that arises in Surrey, and I can make the determination that it's not appropriate for the Surrey Police Service, their professional, their office to conduct the investigation. I can have another police department to do that investigation. But keep in mind, yes, that investigation is done by a police officer, maybe from a different department, but it's my role, my office's role, to make sure that is happening effectively. We have staff internally who are alongside those investigators. We make sure, we provide oversight to make sure the right questions are being asked, the right people are being questioned.
Well, maybe we are under the illusion. I thought your job was to appoint your staff, independent staff, to investigate that police officer instead of appointing another police officer.
Well, unfortunately, I do not have that power under the Act. I have made mention to government that I think it would be a good change if at least I had the discretion to keep certain investigations in my office. But what I would say is that our process is actually better than many other systems across the country. And I have the ability where I think that there is maybe I'm not happy with a decision being made, I can appoint a retired judge, for example, to review the case. I can also call a public hearing, which I've done on a number of occasions this past year. And in fact, for those of you who know the case about Miles Gray, the person who died a number of years ago, that public hearing is starting in next week, actually 2 weeks from now. So that is our process where we can provide contemporaneous oversight over these investigations to make sure things are being done properly.
Since last couple of years now, Surrey is also in your jurisdiction. Before there was RCMP, Police Complaint Commissioner was not in charge for the investigating. Now we are a municipal force here. So how do you kind of determine that this complaint is genuine enough that we should have an investigation? Even if somebody doesn't complain to you and you're reading in the newspapers and you're finding out in social media, you know that this is happening, can you go ahead yourself and kind of call them and start investigating them? Or you have to have a complaint?
That's an excellent question, Harjinder. I appreciate that. No, in fact, I do have the authority under the Act to order my own investigation. It does not have to be driven by an actual complaint. That being said, most of our investigation, most of the investigations being conducted are through complaints, but we frequently receive information from police departments who themselves say, here's potential concerning behavior, over to you, if you wish to order an investigation. We certainly do that frequently. We certainly can, if we have strong information, it can't just be third-hand information and not information maybe based on fact. But if there's something solid there, certainly I can order an investigation and that can be conducted without an actual person complaining.
When we invited you, at that point of time, we did not want to discuss a matter of Morgan Creek with you because it only happened a couple of days ago. So now I definitely want to touch on it, that one of the counselors, Linda Annis, she has sent a text message to the police chief, Norman Lipinski. He reacted to it and used word elevated also. I'm sure you are fully aware of it. In this case, can you directly go and start investigating the police chief on this? Or you need a complaint because the Solicitor General said, I'm not going to investigate this because nobody had made a complaint. I have to have a complaint. While you have the authority to investigate a police officer, even a police chief, without a complaint. So what is the real policy here? That's very ambiguous.
Well, I'm separate and apart from the Solicitor General. I can't really speak to what she may have said. No, actually, just to be clear, Harjinder, I am separate from government.
Oh, I see.
I'm an independent officer of the legislature, and certainly, the Solicitor General is not going to call on me for advice, and neither will I call on her for advice because I'm to act independently.
Would you go ahead and investigate the police chief?
So let me start with this, Harjinder. I of course have been following the stories, following your radio program. You've done a very good job in terms of highlighting this issue. I heard the interview you had with the mayor yesterday, and I've seen the reporting in the
Thank you.
through Global
Thank you for listening.
TV. Absolutely, and I understand There were more interviews this morning on this issue, and it sounds like, based on what the mayor said yesterday, that they're looking into it, and that the police board, in fact, is being made aware of what took place. What I would say is, at this point, I'm under strict confidentiality provisions under the Police Act, and I'm limited in what I can say right now. What I will say is, if we do receive a complaint, we will follow our usual practice in terms of doing an investigation in a fair, impartial, independent, and robust way, and make sure that investigation is conducted in that fashion. If, as you say, we've already highlighted the fact that if I have solid information, it is a possibility for me to order an investigation. That being said, I don't want to comment on these particular facts or this particular situations, because I don't know all the facts. These are, obviously different people.
Isn't it your duty to find out?
Well, it might be a part of this process where we learn more information, and it might be that I have to get involved or my office has to get involved. But I can't really comment. It's very early days right now. I don't want to feel like I'm making decisions based on your excellent reporting, Harjinder. I think I need a little bit more than that. But just suffice to say that my office is aware of this, and we're monitoring the situation. And maybe we can circle back in a little bit of time and talk a little bit more about this when maybe the dust has settled a little bit and we learn a little bit more about what took place.
And Commissioner, for the convenience and understanding of our listeners, can you explain the difference between the powers and the services an ombudsperson, and the commissioner? Sometimes it feels like to me that there's a duplication of services. Ombudsperson pretty well does the same thing, listening to the public complaints and making decisions, investigations and stuff. And you're doing this pretty well same thing. So is it a duplication, or you work together, or you're totally separate?
Well, what I would say is that we're different oversight bodies. The Human Rights Commissioner is an oversight body. The Information Privacy Commissioner is oversight. The Chief Electoral Officer, these are all independent officers of the legislature.
Ombudsperson.
And the Ombudsperson, of course, is oversight. Now, they do not have jurisdiction over municipal police services.
Oh, I see.
That is left for us. There is no duplication there. In fact, they will refer anything related to that to my office. And I also would note that the Ombudsperson, which is an incredibly important role, provides recommendations for change. Right now, my office can do recommendations, but this is a process where there could be discipline that occurs at the end for an officer. And in terms of their accountability, it's not just recommendations. It's potentially, if there is misconduct, if there's excessive force use, if there's discourtesy, if there's a neglect of duty, there could be consequences such as a reprimand or suspension or demotion, or in the worst cases, dismissal. Those are hard results that could come out of an investigation under our process.
Commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong. I have heard that you have vast powers. Even if the top cop, the police, the Solicitor General is the top cop, they have some kind of misconduct or not doing their duties, you have the powers to investigate them also?
Not the Solicitor General. My jurisdiction is over municipal police department. So, my jurisdiction does include deputy chiefs and chiefs, and there's a process under the Act how you deal with those complaints and deal with those investigations. And
have you sent a police officer to prison ever?
No, that's not. I don't have that jurisdiction, Harjinder. Think of it as
Have you convicted them?
No, that's something that is not available.
Have you concluded an investigation that says this person is guilty?
Well, we've concluded many investigations where the result of it is where somebody has been dismissed from their position. Think of it like, it's a statutory process where you are reviewing somebody's conduct, right? And as I mentioned, the highest level it can go is dismissal. Now, there are potential ways in which we can go to court for various concerning behavior. We can refer matters for criminal investigation if we think that's appropriate. But me personally, and my process, it is about what are the employment consequences for the role. And that being said, we also look at how we can improve, how we can learn from individual concerning behavior and potentially improve broader conduct. We also now have the ability to I have the ability to order a systemic investigation. So if there are, for example, patterns that we're seeing in the complaints and the investigations that might suggest that there are gaps or broader concerns in the system, we can conduct a full scale. Now, that's where we have the internal investigative ability, where we can look at, so for example, if we have concerns around the treatment of Indigenous people by police services, or if we're concerned about excessive use of force across police services or within an individual police service, we can launch an investigation, and at the end of it, we can make recommendations for change, which I would suggest you was very akin to an ombudsperson type power, where I think that we could have a great deal of influence. But no, my job is not to put people in jail.
We should thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We're grateful that you came to our studio and you have accepted my invitation. And we will speak again. Anything else you'd like to say in closing?
No, I just think that it's very important that your listeners, most of whom I would think that are in Surrey, that understand that now my office is responsible for most of the police oversight here when you move from RCMP to the Surrey Police Service, and that I'm working towards getting to know the Surrey residents, meeting with organizations and coming on excellent programs such as this to hopefully spread the word, because I don't know about you, Harjinder, but I don't know if you even knew about my office before I came here, and I realized in my 2 years here that most people don't know about our office. So I'm hoping that people learn more about what my office does and how they can access our services.
How do you receive the complaints? Do you have a website or something?
Yeah, I'll repeat that. The website again, it's www.opcc.bc.ca. That's opcc.bc.ca. You can feel free to go there. And we also have a number of, we can provide support, referrals to support services. Our complaint forms are in different languages, including Punjabi. Mosaic provides interpretation translation services for us. Thank you very much. So certainly there's ways to access it, and you can call us. The number is on the website, and there's ways of learning what we do. We have brochures that we may leave with you. And I'm happy to come back here and speak to you again if that'll help.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm grateful. ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਆਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਨੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ, ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਹੋਵੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਸਾਰੇ 'ਚ, ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਇਹ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ, ਉੱਥੇ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਧੇ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ opcc.bc.ca। ਔਰ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਰਾਜਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਹੈ। ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਬਦਲਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਇਹ ਨੇ। ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਰਾਜਨ, ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ।
Thank you.